What's cracking, everybody, and welcome to episode 191 of the Good Kraken podcast. The last episode I said 192, and I'm a fool. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. God damn it. I am one of your resident captains tonight, Nell Pearson, alongside the inevitable one, Devin Brevin, the dude. What's happening, baby boy?
Hello.
How's your week of 31 going, my friend?
Going good. Went bowling last night. Saw Ant-Man before I went bowling.
Of course.
Going out to Quarter World tonight, doing some barcade stuff.
Yes,
You know?
yes. So you're taking our advice, celebrating your birthday for the rest of the month. Let's go. Let's go, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then I'm working at Hawthorne the day after, but that's usually pretty fun.
Yeah, that works out all right. So you went bowling at like 9 o'clock last night?
Yeah, till midnight.
Oh God, that's so late.
We didn't even get out of the movie till like 9:40.
Yeah, I went to a bowling. Well, actually, my friend, she messages me like right at the end of the movie, and I thought it was kind of coincidental, but I was just like, I didn't even think about it. Really. Sure. She goes, "I got a flat tire. Can you help me?"
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm just like, okay. And I was like, do you got a spare? You got Jack? You got all the stuff? And she's like, yeah, I have that stuff. And I was like, all right. She sends me her location instead of sending me an address, like a pin. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I drive out there, getting out of my car.
Was it far? Was it far?
No, it was like 10 minutes. It was like 10 minutes. All right. I grab my gloves, grab my tools, put a headlamp on, everything. And I'm like walking over to her car. And we're in the parking lot of a bowling alley.
You got a headlamp?
Yeah, I just keep a headlamp in my car.
You just cosplay Deep Rock Galactic? Like,
No, if you guys remember, I go hiking a lot in the summer, and I go into caves. I go into caves, so I keep headlamps with me. And also, they're really handy to have if anything happens to your car, because I know how to fix most of the stuff on my car.
This fucking guy.
Trying to give me shit for being prepared?
Yeah, you fucking nerd. You know what I mean?
Bro, I'm the person that like keeps a box of granola bars and a couple like cans of food and like a blanket and tools and like a knife.
Apocalypse to happen, man. He's ready. He saw.
No, you just never know what's gonna happen, man. You never know. Like. Sometimes I drive out into the woods and do
this guy. This guy played The Last of Us and was like, "Not me." No.
See, what it is I grew up going camping and fishing and riding dirt bikes. Surprisingly, as the type of person I am nowadays, I grew up doing all of that shit.
So you changed your tire because she can't change it herself because she's incapable.
No. I show up and I'm like, "What the fuck? What tire's flat?" Because none of her tires are flat. And then I turn around and Logan and Kellen are walking up. And then Hannah shows up. My brother comes out of the woodwork, and my parents are there too. And they're like, "Surprise!"
Oh, dude,
and
that's
surprised
so
me
lit.
with bowling. Yeah,
that's so
it was
lit,
pretty
man.
fun.
That's
it was
good,
pretty fun.
dude.
And it was like their little galaxy bowling night and stuff like that. And I ended up kicking ass too. So it was like,
strike. This guy got turkeys. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got a lot of strikes last night. It felt good. Like the first game I played really crappy. And then I was like, okay. I like went and changed my bowling ball and everything. And I'm like, all right. And then the second game, I'm the first person to go strike right off the bat. And I look back at everybody and they're like, oh.
Well, I'm glad you got some strikes last night, Devin. But the man who always gets a strike is our little cherry blossom, Garrick Bartholomew Eaton. What's happening, baby?
Not much. Y'all are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Our man coming in here with the good old hoodie that we absolutely love and admire. Show the people again, Garrick.
My Jonas Brothers hoodie?
The Jonas Brothers hoodie. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Let's fucking go.
I love this hoodie.
It's not just a Jonas, it's the Jonas Brothers hoodie, because that's the one that I was like, yo, that's hot. And then Jenna saw, I was like, I have that one. And then Garrick was like, I love this hoodie.
You want to know the best part of it?
There's a better part about the hoodie.
There's a better part. Well, so we all know that the Taylor Swift is touring starting in like 2 weeks.
Yes.
And she released some of her merch already, and she has one that looks just like that.
Oh God.
But with
God.
her logo
Here
for
we go.
but
Here
with
we
her
fucking go.
logo for it. It's
Gonna
it
have
fucking
the T Swift version as well.
gonna
God
get
damn.
that in fucking every band. Every artist is gonna have this sweatshirt.
So I've been designing some new merch for my band, and I'm like kind of excited because I've been making some pretty fucking ridiculous shit that I'm excited to show you guys. Let's just say,
Cool.
Garrick, there's one that you're gonna definitely want because it's Elden Ring themed.
Oh shit!
Oh, I
Okay.
love that.
Also, by the way, it's episode 193. In case you wanted to know.
Is it
Is it
193?
really?
Because
It
the
really-
last one I accidentally said 192. I felt like
So the calendar, the Google Calendar is off because we kept dating content through the Christmas break, so it's off. And now, so now we're back to Tuesdays are even numbers and Saturdays are odd numbers.
How
Oh.
And before it was the other way around. And we just never fix the calendar. I fix it when I post the schedule, but I ain't fixing the whole Google Calendar. I don't give a shit about that. So
Well, and I'm seeing too that there's a repeat because we had like 188, and then I think we actually didn't do that episode, or like there's something happened, and then like 188 like technically repeated on the calendar.
right, and that's what set us off because that's what set us for like a 6 month period of even numbered episodes always being on Saturdays and odd number episodes always being on Tuesdays. But now it's back to normal. It actually made me really happy that it's back to normal now. You have no idea.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you, Garrick. I appreciate you, dog. So, episode 193, actually. And speaking of which, someone else who's on episode 193 of the Good Kraken podcast is the queen of bitching herself, Genesee Gabrielle. How you doing, baby?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. I got my elf bar, so I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? All's good as long as the elf bar's in hand. Tell him, Garrick.
Is it? Is it?
Is that the rule? Is that the
Listen, I have an
situation?
addiction, and it's to feeling tight.
You know what's tight?
Feeling tight.
You know what's actually funny? Because
What?
I kick people out of the venue for smoking inside, and it's usually those.
Damn, man, that's rough because I definitely hit the elf bar when I was at that show the other week. With you.
You gotta be careful,
bet
dude.
you did.
You gotta be careful.
Did you catch me hitting it in the theater last night?
No, actually.
So me and Marilyn
Can I
have
say this
found,
straight up? I do not give a shit unless I'm working.
me and Marilyn have found out how to hit an elf bar and like make it so that like you don't blow out any of the smoke. So like we can like incognito like she
Well, no,
she's,
no, you don't have to even be incognito. You just take the hit and then you just blow it into your
Well,
straw.
So there's a light on it, so you have to be like incognito
done
about the
it.
light when you hit it.
Oh, the
But-
light, yeah.
Yeah, so Marilyn
That's how I catch people.
is fucking sneaky. So she's figured out like if you stick it in your sleeve, like the wrist part of your sleeve, and like hit it as if like you're like
Oh,
touching
yeah.
your face, like you're like,
So scummy.
she's so good at it,
Like,
dude. Like,
you, like,
she's dying back there.
oh
Genesaw,
my gosh, she's right behind you.
yeah, she's playing Cult
She's
of the
been there
Lamb right
this whole
now.
time.
I got her.
Great fucking game.
I
Great
got her
fucking game.
Yeah, I know, very good game. I got her sucked in
Hiding
Cult of the
from the
Lamb the other
bed.
week. I'm so proud. I'm such a proud boyfriend. Genesaw, how are you doing this week? How's your week going? Is it wonderful?
Yeah, my week's going really well. I had a surprise visit from some friends last week, who live on the East Coast, and I that was magical. I loved seeing them. And one of them told me that I taught them what a boundary was, which like changed my entire world. I was like, oh my God, I know. It was concerning that they didn't know until they were 25
Oh, yikes.
what a boundary
Oh,
was.
yikes. Oh, no.
But I was really honored to be the one who introduced them. So, yeah, the only thing better than introducing someone to a boundary for the first time is introducing them to Gaylor for the first time. So, I'm really living life. I'm really the person that I've always wanted to be.
This week, you're proud of yourself. I love it.
Currently living your best life.
Yeah,
Girl,
yeah, really
girl
feeling
spit
like
in
me.
chat. Hold it, blow it towards the ground. Smoking on an airplane made easy. No, so like the secret is that if you hold it long enough, it dissipates in your lungs. So like if you hold it long enough, no smoke comes out. And so you have to like there's like a rotationary thing where like if you suck just enough, that you hold it, but you can also breathe in at the same time. It's sort of like taking like a joint hit. You know what I'm saying? Not that I've ever done drugs before.
You know,
but,
that applies to a lot more than just.
Because drugs are bad. I've never done
drugs
that. None of us here at Good Crack would ever do drugs. You know what I'm saying? Ever. Never.
Definitely
ever.
didn't come out high. That didn't happen.
Sure did not. But we all have come out some kind of way because this is a Good Kraken podcast. Your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you want to hear. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. If you're riding this wave, you can head on over to our Discord channel where you can submit questions and topics of the show, get exclusive content, and soon have early access episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the digital sea. Yarg. Thank you. Okay. I was like, wow, that was took you guys a second. But if you've emptied your pockets for the latest and greatest in entertainment, that is totally fine. You can watch us record this show live right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken. Show. If you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime, and we would love for you to give that to us to help keep us pushing content out for all of you that are listening or watching at home. But you can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there. Candy Pirate in chat. I love how vaping was created to help people stop smoking, and now it's doing the complete opposite. Listen, vaping has helped me quit smoking cigarettes. Like, effectively, it has. But now I'm addicted to my health bars. It's like I was talking about with Xander the other night. It's like if you in AA they replace drinking with smoking. Now I'm just replacing smoking with smoking. It's the next step in the evolutionary chain.
Do you remember the original like blue e-cigarette ad that literally had the guy smoking in the movie theater?
And like they always had those like guys at the kiosk that were like dressed down to the nine to make it look like vaping was some like nice like high class like
and the dude smoking always had like a button down shirt and a blazer on. You're like, this is like a thing for like upper class people. You're like, what the fuck?
Smoking's for peasants, and you're like, you're right, it is 100% is, but you
I
have
am a peasant.
All these years later, it's like poor people can now afford an Elf bar for fucking $25, and like they'll just do that instead. Because like popcorn lung is arguably better than cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Not that we know what popcorn lung even is these days. You know what I'm saying? No, nobody's proven to me that there's popcorns in my lungs at all. You know what I'm saying? Devin, tell the people at home. Well, actually, no, captain's order. Devin, we have some captain's order. Guys, please join our Discord. Devin, hit him in chat.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wait. I think the commands are broke. Yeah, we'll try. We'll try.
Let's see.
Join our Discord and tell us what you want to see from us at Good Kraken going forward. Yep, not working. God damn it. But if you are a part of our Discord, if you're watching live, you're part of our Discord, go in there, go to general chat, and leave us all your thoughts on what you guys want to see from us as we move into 2023. Give us all sorts of content ideas that you guys want to see us do. Any ridiculous over-the-top shit that you guys have been asking us to do. We've been watching you guys, but we need to know if more of you have been wanting it since the ideas were originally mentioned, because I know there's some people that dropped some ideas in our chat before, and there's some pretty silly shit that we may or may not get ready for you guys. But in the meantime, Devin, please now actually tell the people what we got going on next.
Well, y'all, you better protect your neck because we're going into the gallows.
I hate that build up. So, well, y'all.
Look, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a good segue today. I smoked before, so I'm sorry.
That's why I give it to you, because like the gallows is easy.
We don't do drugs. This is a family show.
Yeah, this is a family show. It's rated E for everyone.
Bullshit.
This is a family show?
Bull fucking shit. We got Garrick over here talking about his furry little asshole.
No, that's me talking about my tight little asshole.
Yeah. This is not
Jenna
a family
talking about
show.
Taylor Swift.
Not at all.
Lord knows that's not family friendly. You know what I'm saying? Guys, for
we
the
had a whole
gallows
episode about fleshlights.
We did.
I will say that low-key episode was not family friendly. That wasn't even like adult friendly.
as is most of our content. Guys, for the gallows and for our episode today, we are talking Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review. So, as per usual, we will be talking about our thoughts on this movie. But for all of you at home who has not watched a review of ours before, heard a review of ours, we do these spoiler-free, 100%. We used to do a we're gonna move into spoilers now. Just like you guys know, if you've watched it or haven't watched it, just stop here and then come back later. But we found that a lot of people that watch our reviews and stuff haven't actually gotten a chance to watch the movie. So to default out, we just go spoiler free from now on for you guys. So in the future, we might have a thing on the screen that says like spoiler mode or some shit like that to let you guys know if you come in that there's spoilers active or some shit like that. But in the meantime, we're just gonna do our thing that we usually do, starting with the release date of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, February 17th, 2023, directed by Peyton Reed with a budget of approximately $200 million and a box office so far worldwide of $98 million and a good old runtime of 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Good time.
Actually,
honestly.
felt good. It felt good. Like that felt like a good time window for this movie.
I like 2 hour long movies. That is like the perfect time for me. It's not too long and it's not too short. Like I feel like I get my story in that time.
Man, I love being not too long and not too short. I remember the days when like movies be like 2 hours was like, oh god, that was long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You remember when they started first doing that? You're kind of like,
movies that are like 3 hours and 45 minutes.
I know, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus Christ.
The Irishman.
Yeah, fucking long movie, man.
Good
Jesus
movie though.
Christ.
Good movie.
And then it is a good movie, but he has any right to talk shit about Marvel, man. Get fucked. You know what I'm saying? Get fucked.
Good movie. It's a good movie.
Anyways, we have some fun facts for you guys. I want to try to come up with a better name than some crack facts.
Some
Crack
silly
facts.
splashies.
some tentacle facts. I don't know. We'll come up with something for you guys. some octo.
The suction cup.
The suction cup.
This is devolving.
This is getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It is, in fact. Guys, first up, in Avengers Endgame 2019, Cassie Lang was played by Emma Furman. In this movie, she's instead played by Catherine Newton. Furman claimed on Twitter that she learned about being replaced when Disney released details of the film at their Investor Day in December 2020, and that while she was saddened, she was still grateful to have been a part of the MCU. What a bummer, man. Imagine like finding out that you're losing your role for like an announcement.
Yeah.
Devin,
I will say though, Catherine Newton did a good job.
She did a good job. I actually believed more that she was Cassie Lang than the other chick, because the other chick looked like she was like 38, dog. She looked good for 38, but she looked like she was like 38. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did not believe that.
Catherine Newton did a good job.
Next up here, at the beginning of his career, director Peyton Reed directed behind-the-scenes material for the Back to the Future franchise, and those efforts included Back to the Future Part 2 in 1989. Early on in Quantumania, there is a moment involving a pizza scene that pays tribute to that sequel. Quote, I did the making of documentaries for Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3, so I was on set when they did Part 2's pizza scene, and yes, Quantumania's pizza scene is a little tip to the hat to that, Reed revealed.
That's fun.
That's cool.
fun.
That's really cool. I love when directors do that shit. Sam Raimi does that shit in like all of his movies, but I love when other directors do it too. This is Bill Murray's third comic book role. He had previously voiced Johnny Storm and the Human Torch in a 1975 radio show adapting the early issues of the Fantastic Four, and later on would voice Garfield in Garfield 2004 and Garfield in Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties in 2006.
Why, Bill?
Why, Bill? Bill, Jesus Christ.
Why?
Tale of Two Kitties.
Now that was a family show.
Written by a 5-year-old. Like, what the fuck?
Jesus Christ. Murray had also played Clark Kent and Superman in Saturday Night Live Margot Kidder, the Chieftains in 1979, though that was a sketch and so an unofficial role. That sketch also featured Garrett Morris as Ant-Man, who made a cameo as a cab driver in Ant-Man 2015. Ooh, that's cool. I didn't realize besides that cab driver part there. That's fucking rad. And then lastly here, according to Variety, Jonathan Majors nearly missed out on joining the MCU, let alone getting considered for Kang, because he walked out of his first general meeting with Marvel after having been kept waiting due to busy executives. Luckily, casting director Sarah Finn caught up with Majors before he left the building, and the rest is history. Can you imagine? Like we almost lost Jonathan Majors, dog.
So lucky.
We almost lost Johnny Majors. You know what I'm saying, guys? Let's get right into this. Again, let's make sure we're keeping our hands raised. You want to make a comment or anything like that? Let's let each other kind of like finish our thoughts on these, and then we'll move on as we go along. Devin, my friend, what were your top level thoughts of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Like we stated earlier, runtime 2 hours. Perfect. I felt like I got the story within that amount of time. I do want to start off by saying having it being an isolated adventure was really refreshing, because I felt like a lot of everything has been so like mix mashed lately.
Yeah, interconnected.
So that was really nice. I really like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. Like I really do. Like he does a really good job, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel like we see a really good character arc with him in this movie, because he really starts off being Ant-Man just to be able to pay child support.
Yeah.
That's literally the whole reason. And then in the second movie, he's only doing the heroic stuff because what's his face? Hank Pym.
Yeah.
Pym.
Hank. Yeah.
Yeah, Hank and Hope are like, no, you have to help us. They're like making him do it, and he did not want to do it at all. And then
like his involvement in like Civil War and stuff is literally because they were like, hey, like you need to help us.
Yeah, and he's fanboying over Captain America. He's like only doing it because he's fanboying on Captain America the whole time. Yeah. And then like in this movie, he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be at home with my daughter.
Fucking over it, dude.
I know. But like at the same time, he like sees what's going on, and you kind of see that like realization, that self-realization, and then he starts being more actual heroic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which was really cool seeing that development. But Catherine Newton did a really good job playing Cassie Lang, I thought, or Stature, as you will.
Yes.
Yeah, and she came right into the role really well. And how many fucking smart ass people are we gonna have on the MCU? Is like everybody a fucking like Nobel Peace like award-winning like scientist or something? Like
to be fair, Scott was taught by Hank. Like Scott had no fucking clue about quantum mechanics before Hank Pym taught him everything. But I get where you're coming from, though. You're right.
Like there's so many characters that are just like, I'm gonna build a fucking quantum blah 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 blah. I'm just like, I'm like, okay,
this is a fucking science fair project sort of like shit. You're like, oh, okay, you just built this in your basement, I guess.
Like,
yeah.
And Miss Marvel, her best friend, is like, you got a mutation. Yeah. I'm like, wait. How are you analyzing DNA at that level already? Yeah. Like
fucking Shuri, let's see, Ironheart. There's just look at the list goes on now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got Bruce Banner, Tony Stark. Like,
I mean, at least they're like the originals. I would give them that much credit.
Yeah, but it's just funny. It's like I feel like there has to be at least one super scientist in every Marvel movie.
Every single one. Yeah. Anyways, so this movie though, continue.
Yeah. But I thought it had a good story, and I feel like it was a great introduction for Kang too, because it showed you ways to be fearful of that character and the kind of stakes that are brought with introducing Kang fully into the MCU. You know, because we only got him for a little bit, right? In Loki. It's one of his variants. And he was nothing like the actual Kang that, you know, destroys and conquers everything. And you see a little bit of it in this movie. And I just did not like the writing for Janet. I did not like the writing for Janet at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate the trope of, I can't tell you this right now, we just have to keep going. It's like you have all the time to keep going and telling them what they should be worried about.
We literally have a 3-hour walk, Janet. Can you
Yeah, like you have all the time. Like, I hate that trope in movies so much, and it takes them like half the movie to finally be like, wow, back in the day. You know, I just hate that.
Okay, sure.
Back in my day, you know. But I really liked the teamwork it showed. I feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp are kind of like not looked at as much as the other heroes within the Avengers realm because they're considered like puny.
Yeah, sure.
No pun intended. You know,
I mean, they're technically human. Yeah.
But I like it. This movie kind of showed what they can do as characters and how important their characters really are. Especially like in the original comics, Janet Van Dyne was the one who started the Avengers too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But start to finish, the pacing was pretty good. Only a couple of the jokes felt forced, you know, only a couple.
Sure.
I thought the writing was good. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Okay. I like it. Garrick Bartholomew Eaton, your top level thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I liked it. I think this is probably my favorite entry into the Ant-Man movies so far.
Okay.
But initially, though, I felt like this film actually was like the biggest thing that I keep coming back through is like I felt like this film was kind of hollow story wise.
Sure.
I felt like there wasn't like a ton of motivation for the characters to be doing what they were doing. Like the way that I was really unimpressed with how we ended up getting to the quantum realm. I was just like, that's it. This is that. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Like
right.
it just like, they're like, okay, we're here now. And then it just like, but and then, you know, it all kind of starts to roll into place. But I felt like the introduction of the movie was pretty weak, and it didn't do a really good job establishing why any of these characters should give a crap about doing anything in the quantum realm outside of, you know, Scott Lang just wanting to have more time with his kid. But like nobody else's motivation is like, really all that great. I felt like
Cassie had good motivation because it was an extension of her motivation on Earth.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like,
right.
that's
the same motivation of just wanting to do more than what she felt like her dad was doing right now. And like that just kind of carrying into it.
And help the small people.
And right, and just like in helping helping the little people, which was kind of the moral of the whole story, which was like, it wasn't bad. I just felt like compared to some of like previous motivations and like story stakes, this one felt very surface level and didn't really delve a lot into some of the deeper motivations for the characters that I've liked to see in some past films. But outside of that, I thought this was actually this was a visual spectacle of a film. I thought this was a very, very well done film, and the CGI all felt amazing and well used. And the fact that we didn't even really get like hardly any traditional set pieces just because the nature of the movie, I felt like this all felt really, really smooth. Like there wasn't any standout pieces of the film where I was just like, that CGI was really bad. You know, like the one critique being like MODOK's design, but at the end of the day, it's just MODOK's design, and you can't they did their best with what he looks like. I just don't think you can make MODOK look any better than the way MODOK looked.
Devin, go ahead, and then I got something to put in. Go ahead.
I'm not a dick.
Yeah.
Look at me. Anyway, I thought the MODOK thing was actually interesting because they made him look so abundantly like he doesn't belong there, like in such a weird way. Like he should not, like, that character design should not exist in the MCU, but they also simultaneously make fun of it, and their self-awareness of how ridiculous he looks in this movie I thought was so clever and like well put together. Like they were like, look, we know he looks fucking stupid, but we're gonna make fun of it as much as we possibly can.
Exactly, which is why I don't even give it out as like a real critique, because like they fucking know. Like they know that like MODOK
got
just
baby
looks like
legs.
MODOK, and like they tapped into it and like made fun of it in all the right ways without making fun of it so much that it felt like beating a dead horse.
Yes.
Which is like another thing that I really liked is I felt like the comedy was well used in the film. Although I did feel like it made it a little tonally uneven with how dark of a presentation I felt like Jonathan Major's version of King the Conqueror was. Which comes to my next point. Like I felt like as far as like character introductions, I loved this introduction for Kang. And I like this was it was probably my favorite part of the film. Jonathan Majors outacted every motherfucker in this movie.
Goddamn. You know what I'm saying? Devin,
Especially
you're gonna
like-
jump in for a quick second.
Top to bottom.
Go ahead real fast.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I was gonna say with the CGI in this movie too, just kind of harboring back to that comment you made. We've kind of notoriously gotten a lot of complaints about CGI in Marvel properties over this last phase, and I feel like they really like honed in on it. And if I remember correctly, this movie got delayed, right? Originally,
all of them did for this beginning.
Quite a few of them did.
Did you guys see how many digital artists worked on this movie? In the
A
credits?
lot.
Like
there were like 5
thousands.
different studios, dude. There were like 5 different fucking visual effects studios that did this. Like it was impressive.
Yeah. Also, like this movie is pretty much Clone Wars without the Anakin and Padme scenes.
So we'll get there. We'll get there. Garrett continues. So Kang, your thoughts on Kang?
But no, I was just saying that I thought it was just a really, really great introduction for him, and the way that like they kind of brought about the history of the character in small glimpses, which I think is really nice because Kang maintaining some of that Thanos level mystery, right? Yeah. But also giving him a bigger piece and an earlier introduction than we really got with Thanos. I appreciated the way they did this, which is a great approach to our next big bad in the MCU. And that was honestly my favorite part of the film. So that was pretty. That kind of wraps up my top level thoughts.
I like it. Genesaw, it is your turn. Your top level thoughts on this movie.
Okay, my top level thoughts are that I don't hate Ant-Man, but I've never found Ant-Man particularly compelling.
Sure. I think many would actually agree.
Yeah, I don't know, even like his powers, it's like, okay, you go big and small. Good job. And like
first you big, now you small.
To go on the big part,
jump and tap.
He seems like indestructible when he goes huge like that, though.
I mean, he effectively is. I mean, like, because their explanation for that is literally just physics and science. Because what would kill you, like a bullet, as like a normal sized person, like would not do nearly as much damage to you if you have more flesh present, right? So I mean, like theoretically, yes, to the extent that he is, probably not. Because I mean, like this dude takes like 85,000 lasers to the fucking face, and, like doesn't even get a fucking scratch on him, you know.
Yeah,
but like
in the first movie, wasn't it supposed to be like really, really hard for him to go that big because like there would be like damage?
Devin, go ahead.
They did do. I just rewatched all of the movies.
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
It is something he constantly works on through all the movies.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Ant-Man 2, like the whole
better.
point of it is him learning how to do it and how to control it, and then he like masters it between Civil War and Endgame.
And so they actually attuned to that, and with the scene in Cassie near the end of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, which I don't want to dive too deep into, but yeah, she has her moment where they kind of say like, oh yeah, like this was actually a thing that like he struggled with when he first started. So our Zaire and chat, what's happening, baby? What's happening? Genesaw, continue on.
But yeah, so I was really skeptical going into it about Ant-Man being our introduction to Kang because I was really excited for Kang. We already met Kang. We met a variant of Kang in Loki.
Yep.
Loved him from the bits that I've like read about Kang in the comics. Just an absolutely compelling villain. And I love a good villain. I love a good villain. I root for a good villain.
Yep.
Namor's a good
And
villain.
Kang is a villain you root for. Like, Kang is the main character. Like, Kang is awesome. And yeah, Jonathan Majors plays him phenomenally. Every single beat of this movie, like, honestly, like, I could have dealt with having Kang in a little bit earlier. Like, they kept being like, oh, this mysterious, like, I was like, we know who Kang is. Give him to me. I have waited, what, like 2 years to get this man back on my screen as Kang? Give him to me.
Yep.
Anyway, so that was like, I was definitely like, especially once we got to the theater, I was here for Kang. And I don't think I realized like how much I was ready for him and rooting for him until it was like 30 minutes into the movie, and I was like, okay, well, why isn't he here yet? Where is he? But yeah, so I don't know. My biggest takeaways from it were definitely like I was skeptical going into it that Ant-Man was going to be able to compete with Kang, and I do really like the way that they executed that in the film. And yeah, I have some more thoughts on that and like the concept of ants that I'll want to get into later. But like I liked it. It's probably my favorite Ant-Man movie. It was really well done. Cassie was great. I loved that they did have like a whole team of people with the Ant-Man powers like going into it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just him alone, because I feel like that would have been really unbelievable. But like when you're like, oh yeah, we have this whole little Mod Podge family fighting Kang, like that can go big and small. Yeah. Yeah, like ants.
Like
yeah.
ants.
That makes it make a lot more sense. And I also really like that they were introducing Cassie more as we've been building up the Young Avengers, and yeah, I'm really really excited for them.
Cool. I like it. Yeah. So I actually have a lot of like little problems with this movie. That sort of like revolve around a lot of just like kind of details that they sort of like glaze over. So like my biggest thing coming up front is that this movie is like way more Star Wars than it is Marvel. And that like was also really, really cool, but also simultaneously dog shit. Like I fucking hated that. Like that it felt that way for a lot of parts in this movie. Hydrate. There we go. So you have to suspend a lot of disbelief to make this movie make sense. And like that alone was bothering me the entire time. Like just like little tiny things, like the fact that they can just like everybody can just breathe in the quantum realm. Like there's the presence of oxygen just isn't touched on like whatsoever, in the quantum realm, I guess. Even though oxygen's a fucking molecule and they're definitely smaller than molecules at this point, but that's fine. Garrett, go ahead.
To pile on to your little gripes, because unless you bring this up, because this is the one that stood out to me. They never actually addressed to you what Kang's powers are currently.
Period.
At all.
Yeah.
No. They do. It's a suit. It's a suit.
But beyond that, but we don't know what the fucking suit does. Just that it's a suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that bugged me. Like, and I know what it does because I know comic book Kang, but like I was irritated that it didn't come up in more detail.
So okay, so Genesal, you had your hand raised first. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Garrick. And like they talk about how he exists outside of like time and space, and like he's cognizant of that and he's aware of his other variants, which I think is super cool because that like it makes sense why he's going to be such a formidable villain, like having that knowledge. But like there's so much about him that we don't know. And I feel like this being the real setup to him. I mean, honestly, they could have given that to us in Loki, but it's less likely to have people watching, like having everyone watching Loki than it is Ant-Man. So even if they had discussed it in more detail in Loki, like that's something that could be repeated and it wouldn't be annoying. Also, are the King's powers going to be different? Like this one gets his powers from his suit. What about the other
they
one?
Are. They
because
are.
they are.
Yes,
They
they
Because-
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they
they
didn't
are.
tell us that. You know,
Some are like
Yeah.
like
there's
So-
a Nexus being
yeah,
like version
Yeah.
of them. To add on that, I think that's what Loki season 2 is going to be for you. I think this is the introduction to just show what he can be capable of in a sense. But I think season 2 of Loki is going to be what dives into who Kang is, why he's like this, why he has this technology. I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, like we'll have to see, but yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of different things that like I felt like could have been better explained, could have been better touched on. You know, the fact of that, like how, like why the people were down here in the first, like how do they have humanoids in this world? How is Bill Murray present in this fucking sub universe? Like I just like there's like little tiny things that like
Right.
like I know because I can look and like find out, but like in the presence of like diving into a movie for the first time, there's things that should be explained in movies that like this movie just trivializes. Go ahead, Evan.
I think the movie was self-aware of that, of not knowing what the fuck is going on, because there's lots of times where like they really just don't know nothing. They don't know anything about this. They don't know anything about this place.
Sure.
No, they're telling the truth about that. But then like even then they're like, are you human? They said that to him, and he's like, kinda. And then he just like grazed over, and he wouldn't
that's what I
explain it.
mean.
But
It's
even like the main characters were like, how are you here? Like I think it was self-aware of that situation.
Yeah, a part of me just feels like that's such like an easy way out, though. You know what I mean? Like that, like that's such a like very convenient way for them to like not write, and like that, like
yeah, it doesn't ease the watcher's frustration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
think
like show me, don't tell me.
I think this might turn into we're probably going to get more quantum realm stuff. This is like our third or fourth time in now, and they're just now discovering that there's people there. I mean, the TVA is probably part of it, like another section of the quantum realm, you know.
I mean maybe, but
But
you
can they? Because they deal with time, not necessarily.
But they exist
they-
in a place that's outside of time and space, and that's what the quantum realm is.
well, there's also another place too, but we haven't gone there. Shang-Chi will be touching on it, but you know, there's another place. But either way, so I had some yeah, I know you guys just bombarding my review. That's fine. I had just like a bunch of tiny little caveats that like I felt kind of stacked upon each other to kind of like take away some points for me. I will say I'm in 100% agreeing with Devin about this Janet thing. She was fucking useless. I was so frustrated for a majority of the first half of the movie where I like audibly told Marilyn, was like, why the fuck can't she just say it? Just say it. Just
Dude,
fucking
Logan
tell
and I
them.
were doing the
Like,
same thing.
just
We were
fucking
doing
say
the
it, dude. Like, you're so annoying about this. Like, and then like, and so like that shit was just like, oh my god, Hope in this movie. This movie might as well have been just called Ant-Man. Quantumania. like I don't understand because Hope was hardly present in this. Like the concept of like the Wasp was like really only important to like help like Ant-Man. And I fucking hate when movies do that, generally speaking, where they have their little sidekick who's like not even really a character. They're just there to sort of like upholster the main character to do the things that they need to do. And like I can't fucking stand when movies do that. And then like in this, that's kind of all she's there for. Like the movie should have been Ant-Man and Cassie. Quantumania. like that's
Ant-Man
what,
in stature.
yeah, Ant-Man and Stature, Quantumania. That's what they should have fucking done with it. Because Hope was just like, the Wasp was not really like a character in this fucking movie. Like she's literally just there to explain like why Janet and Hank are there. Like and that's like it. Like and like to help Ant-Man twice.
And even they weren't that important. I mean, Hank was important in the last like 5 minutes of battle, and like
yeah.
Janet
I love
did.
his character.
Janet did jack shit the whole
Janet
movie.
sucked.
Janet
sucked.
Janet
She
was
was
there. Janet
damsel
was
in distress.
literally there just to push the plot along and explain why like all these obstacles are in their way. Garrett, go.
And the fact that they completely like disregarded her quantum energy manipulation power that she showed off in the second movie. Didn't even acknowledge it at all.
So, like, yeah, that's gone, I guess. Yeah, that's
I was
fine.
just like, oh, okay. I understand that like she used some of it on Ghost, but like they made no indication that that was like the only time she could use it, and why did it not get brought up? And okay,
yeah, and then just like I just I cannot fucking stand, like, it goes to what Devin was saying. There's this entire 30-year history that Janet has experienced in the quantum realm, and they touch on none of it. None of it. Like the fact, like
because she can't talk about it.
That dude that she fights to like get them their shit, and like she just mows this fucking how you're like 60. Like how the fuck I have like no fucking clue how they were able to like just like ease off of everything that had to do with Janet in this movie, even though she's pivotal to like why there's a problem in this universe. They make her such a big issue in this movie, and none of it pays off. Like literally she's present to explain Kang. Like that, like, and anyone else obviously could have explained Kang. I don't know. Now with that said though, I will say this is also my favorite Ant-Man movie. I do think that the problems in the other Ant-Man movies are just like standard movie problems that are like much bigger in resonation. Where like this movie was actually like like Garrick said, was pretty well put together. I think that the CGI makes up for a lot of it. Jonathan Majors carries this movie on his fucking back. Oh my God. He like, listen, when Kang first starts coming up as Kang, like this is the first villain we've had in a while in any of Marvel since like Thanos that really I felt was like, oh God, this guy's fucking terrifying. Because like there's a level of like ominousness that he has that like because they don't explain his powers, it sort of like inherently makes him feel more daunting, more like formidable, more like cunning, because you don't know what he can actually do. And like in a weird way, like because there's like scenes where he does something and you're kind of like, oh, okay, so that's a power, and I'm like notching them off in my head, right? There's like, okay, so he can like control things, yeah, he can like control things like his suit, he can like shoot beams out, he yells and there's an explosion, they show that, like that's like there's a bunch of little tiny things that they show with him, but like all together we don't really know what else his suit can do, and like that does kind of suck. I wish they would just give us like the one thing that like, oh, this is why he's such a badass, right? And they kind of give us a glimpse near the end of the movie, obviously. But Jonathan Majors has something about him as an actor that makes his playing all these Kang variants just feel like some kind of intimidating. And like even with like He Who Remains in Loki, like there's a level of like omniscience and like ominousness that comes with that character that like you're like, I don't know what he's up to, but something about him makes him feel powerful as fuck, right? And then him as Kang in this, and he's just one version of Kang, and you're just like, oh fuck me, dude, like this guy is horrifying. Okay, Genesaw, go ahead, and then we'll go to Devin.
Yeah, and it's like everything from like the cadence of his voice, like the way that he gets mad.
Yeah.
Was like,
yeah,
it was powerful. It wasn't just intimidating, it was powerful. Like I was sitting there in the movie theater and I wasn't scared. I was just like, oh yeah, you can kill me.
I will break them through buddy. Time for what they did to me. I was like, oh yeah. Fuck. Oh fuck.
Like, and you will.
Devin, go ahead.
And
oh, sorry. Did you want to continue your thought, Genesaw?
I can come back. You,
okay, Devin, go ahead.
Devin has.
I was just gonna say too, like the subtle differences he makes, like with his personality between the variants and like and his voices and everything. Just we were excited about this from the beginning. This is what we wanted, right? 100%. And I feel like this movie established the fact that we are going to see a lot of this moving forward now.
Yeah. I do want to say too that like because they're variants, like they're supposed to be similar in concept but different in like little tiny ways, right? And that's what I appreciate so far about this like this Kang variant thing, because he really does like he plays a completely different character in He Who Remains, and who's this sort of like weird, goofy, like overly charismatic character that just like feels out of place in like Loki and like the MCU's universe, and then Kang like being this guy who's just like sociopathic, right? And like just feel like you can just feel this level of like hatred that he has in his character because of, like his stature and his body language and like how he portrays that character so well. Jonathan Majors made this movie for me. And like any good points that I have, like Jonathan Majors was like the reason why. Genesaw, real quick, go ahead.
No, yeah, I just like exuberance is the word that comes to my mind for him in Loki. Like he was just so and everything he was so ab above and beyond. Like he was larger than everything around
Yeah.
him, even when
Yeah.
he was like menacing in this movie.
And it feels like it. Like there's something about like the way that Jonathan Majors acts that just like makes him feel powerful. Like he plays these characters. I don't know what it is they told him to do or something like that, or like how he just like decided to portray these characters. But like he just feels like a powerful being every time he shows up on fucking screen, and it makes me really excited to go forward in the MCU for the rest of Phase 5 and Phase 6 to see him pop up again and again and again in different versions of himself. I mean, even in what we saw in like post credit scene, which I'm not going to dive into. Both of the post credit scenes actually, because for you guys at home, there are two. There's a mid credit and a post credit. The both of those scenes were fucking great at setting us up for like what is going to be happening with Kang going forward. And the post credit scene specifically was very interesting because they sort of use what we now know about Kang to make us feel like, oh shit, that's gonna fuck some stuff up later, right? Like we're about to have a fun little adventure here pretty soon. And there's a lot of really good to be had of that. I do want to say too that like Ant-Man is pretty notorious for being one of those MCU movies that we connect with because the humor is so well done. I think this movie, obviously they damper down the humor a little bit, and like the humor pops in every here and there at like weird random times, as like Garrick was saying. Hold on. I'll get there. But they use it in such a way to sort of like capitalize on moments that I felt like I appreciated a whole lot, because it would just be a moment. It wasn't like Thor where like it takes up an entire like conversation of humor. They just have a moment, like something serious will happen and you're like, oh fuck, and then they'll drop a line and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Whereas in Thor, there's an entire stupid conversation that happens because Thor has the IQ of a fucking squirrel. And then they just have that like entire like thing roll out too far, I feel like sometimes. In this, they just like, nope, we'll just drop a quick hint, which is like works really well because Paul Rudd's humor is like that in like a majority of fucking movies. And I feel like that reflects very well in like him being a part of the MCU as Ant-Man singularly. Devin, go ahead.
I love when MODOK was explaining how he became MODOK. And
Yeah.
the visual of those like weird little baby butt.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was gonna be the last thing that I kind of bring up. I thought that everything having to do with MODOK in this movie was great. I personally loved it. I loved anything that had to do with MODOK, whether it was serious or not serious. I felt like after we got the giggles out of the way, with his first introduction or encounter between MODOK and Cassie and Scott, I thought like after they got that out of the way, they were able to kind of do a lot more, because now he's like, he exists in this space. Like there's nothing we can do about that, right? So like he exists now, you're gonna have to fucking deal with it. And so they do as good as they can, all things considered. And I know like we kind of like loosely talked about that prior to going live or whatever, but like his character looks ridiculous. Like his character looks fucking goofy in the greater MCU, but like them being able to sort of just like use that as sort of a running joke that doesn't run for too long is great, because we also get a couple serious like scenes with him too, between him and Kang, and like really kind of presenting that like this dude actually is like he's terrified of Kang. And like that's why he does what he does, right? And then he also has a sense of meaning that he's trying to fill. And I thought that was really a really interesting and like smart way for them to explain MODOK into this universe and explain like why he's present. And apparently, I saw it in the trivia when I was kind of like putting together show notes or whatever. He almost actually didn't make it in this movie. But Peyton Reed was like, no, I've got a good way of explaining him in. And so he talked about, prior Ant-Man villain and like all this other stuff that potentially happens and how that connects to Kang. And then they were like, okay, like I guess that totally makes sense. And they did very well in connecting that. Devin, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's probably the best way and only way they could have done it within the greater MCU.
100%.
Like
100%.
I am very happy with the way that MODOK gets portrayed. It was very well done for what it was.
Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Cassie being Stature, and how they sort of like introduce her character and her. I don't know. I feel like her stakes and her ambitions in this movie are very cut and dry. I do understand, like Genesee was saying, that like it does follow through and it does pay off later on in the like throughout the movie, but it's such a like, I don't know, topical like reason for why she feels the way that she does. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she's a teen, and because she's a, you know, Gen Zer, she cares about social rights. You know, like it, like they kind of like portrayed it that way, where like Scott and like Hope don't really understand why she's doing what she's doing. And they kind of like make it feel like, oh, it's because she's a kid. And I fucking hate that they do that, because it's like like there's like Captain America gave a fuck about that stuff. Like, I don't know why they're like making it seem like the only reason she cares about like social and civil like justices is because she's a fucking child. Like I don't know. It made my brain melt a little bit. Genesee, go ahead.
No, I'm with you on that. I was also like thinking about it because it actually makes so much sense for her to care about the things that she cares about specifically, like
Yes.
not just because you know, she lost her family in the blip and like all of that, and like her dad coming back and being displaced by the blip, and like all of those things made sense. But then also like when it didn't make sense to me that Ant-Man was going to be critical of that. Like it didn't make sense to me that he didn't get it. I was like, dude, you're literally a criminal. Like,
Yeah.
at least she's a criminal with a heart of gold. Like,
4 times. 4 times. That was good.
yeah, like it makes even more sense when you think about her
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's totally
She
fair.
had 3. He was like 4. She's
4.
like 3.
4 times 3. Devin,
Don't be a dick.
let's go into it, guys. Devin, your final rating of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and why?
So I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I feel Kang carried the movie for the most part. It is my most enjoyable Ant-Man movie. But that first half was pretty unbearable in my opinion, minus like a couple lines here and there.
Sure.
Like thank you, Spider-Man, and you know. But like we said, the first half didn't really make a lot of sense besides until they got to the actual introduction of Kang.
Yeah. Sure.
You know. And that's my only gripe with the movie. I enjoy the movie? Absolutely. Do I think you should watch the movie? Absolutely. Especially if you want to know
Continue
who Kang
on.
is.
Yeah.
And those post credits, it's been a long time since I've gotten a post credit scene that I'm like, oh, this is actually setting up something serious. You know?
Yeah. The only other one that I've had recently is Eternals, and that was because Blade. Like that was it. Like, like literally, once his voice came out,
Blade
like,
and Star Fox.
No
and
shit,
Star Fox.
dude. I couldn't give a shit less about Star Fox. Fuck him. You know what I'm saying? Fuck him.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I literally only said that just to see what Genesee was saying.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Just because the first half of the pacing was kind of like what's going on, and the fact that it felt like Star Wars. But the CGI was really good. King was good. MODOK was good. I liked Cassie. I think I just like Paul Rudd. It's an enjoyable movie.
Sure. So. Okay. Garrick, what is your rating for this movie and your brief explanation why?
I think I am also going to give this a 7.5.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, it is my favorite of the Ant-Man movies, and I feel like both the first two kind of sit at a pretty firm 7 for me. And honestly, like it's a 7.5 just because I felt like some of the character motivations, like I said before, like that was really my biggest gripe. I wasn't super thrilled with the way we got where we were going and like why we were going there. It just felt very sort of surface level, like not very like topical. And then I didn't feel like, you know, it didn't result in like a ton of character growth for everybody involved. You know, Cassie kind of aside, I feel like Cassie, you know, had the greatest character growth arc just given the way they utilized her character. Kang was my favorite part about the film. Absolutely, I thought this was a fantastic introduction to our next MCU big bad. And I think another reason it's just sitting at a 7.5 is aside from Krylar, I don't know who the fucking side characters' names are. Like
Yeah. Yeah, they don't tell us anybody. Like, there's
Also,
whole
what
guy.
happened to Krylar?
There's whole guy.
Who the fuck?
Whole guy. I
Who
don't
the
know his
fuck are
fucking
you
name.
people?
Yeah.
Genesee, your top level thoughts, or actually, sorry, rating and why?
I'll give it a 7. I think that it was a good movie. It wasn't excellent. If you care about the MCU, you should definitely watch it. If you don't care about the MCU, I think you can skip this one. Especially in the context of Phase 4, we've had some really phenomenal movies. We've had some of the best movies in the MCU in Phase 4 so far. And this was a bit of a step down from that, for me, I feel like. Just for all of the things that everyone has already said. I think the characters could have been a lot stronger. Side characters could have been a lot stronger. We've spent so little time in the quantum realm and the greater. I mean, we've spent time there for Ant-Man, but literally only for Ant-Man. So I think that it did detract a bit that we just kind of jumped full on into the quantum realm, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We were over here in like talking about the multiverse 5 seconds ago, and then we were in Wakanda, and now we're in the quantum. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the greater scheme, with the exception being of King. He was the great connector, I feel like, to the greater MCU. What's been happening so far? What we can expect to happen next? If I were just rating him as like a villain and the main character of this movie, I would give him a 10 out of 10. But yeah, the movie definitely, I feel like if you took King out of this movie, if you took the villain out of this movie, the movie would not be good.
100%.
And I think that says a lot about the movie.
Yeah. I will also be giving this a 7. I think that there's enough problems with this movie that like I could not for the life of me like get over. Like there's just some things I was like, oh god, man, like why are you guys still doing this, dude? Like there's a lot of little tiny things, but Jonathan Majors was good enough. Kang was a good enough villain to make up for a majority of like the things that I had problems with. I mean his representation of Kang is just incredible. It's incredible. It makes me so excited to see like what we're going to do with being presented with other variants of Kang as we go forward, and like his acting chops that we're about to get for the rest of like phase 4 and phase 5 going into phase 6. Yes.
We're officially in phase 5 now.
I know, that's why I said phase 4 and
Oh,
phase 5.
we are.
But yeah, so there's a lot to be had of Jonathan Majors playing Kang and playing it as well as he did, because everything else in this movie, if it was any other villain, I don't think this movie would have been as good. I probably would have dropped this down to a 6 if it was any other villain, because Jonathan Majors was that good. He was that fucking good. And if there's any reason for you guys to like be watching this movie, it is to see Kang, because Ant-Man is a secondary thing to this. Kang really is kind of the main spotlight of this showing, and it presents the way that it does very, very well. The humor is very well thought out. The presentation of things like MODOK and Cassie were very well put together as well, but there was just so many problems. I just cannot give this a higher score for the life of me. So that puts us at rounding up, which the way that we do this puts this movie as an official 7.5 on the GK rating for you guys. So it is exciting for us to have this, guys. I am happy that we got to watch another Marvel movie and do these reviews with you guys, because I love covering Marvel with you guys. This is good stuff. It's good stuff. We're gonna be seeing some really cool shit going in the future. I know that it's gonna be a wild phase 5.
Yeah. Make sure you watch the post-credit scenes.
Yes.
Make sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Both of
100%.
them.
If you want to watch this movie, go see it in theaters and stay for the post-credit scene.
Yes, absolutely do. Jag and chat, my biggest issue was pacing, but damn those implications. Yes, 100%. I mean, because the stakes like raise more after the movie's done, and they raise even like more like just before the movie's done.
And they make you realize that too.
Yeah, no, 100%. Genocide, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you're telling me this was the first movie in Phase 5?
Yep.
Yes.
That's upsetting.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is like, I don't know. Like, there were, and I totally 100% understand that it's probably like my own fault going into this with some like higher expectation than like what I probably should have. But like having this be the entry to Phase 5, the entry to Kang was the reason that I'm so like I just can't give it higher than a 7. You know what I mean? Like, and like because we look at like the other phases that we've gotten, the entries to those phases have also been kind of just yeah, like sure, like that's okay, and that's fine, but you'd think that they would have learned by now that like we're at a point in the MCU where like the only way we're gonna be bought is if it's epic enough, if it's dope enough, and like this movie was only that because Kang. Like that's the only reason this movie was dope at all was because of the things that were happening with Kang. So yeah, that gets me my 7. Now, in the meantime, guys, we have our schedule for next week. On Tuesday, we have another Good Kraken podcast where we are going to be talking our 2023 gaming predictions. So we're going to be talking about the games industry for the rest of this year, and what we think is going to be happening with video games for the rest of 2023. That's going to be a fun conversation because we'll be talking about it. We're going to be talking about our predictions we made last year and see who got some right, who got some wrong. I think a majority of us got a majority of it wrong, but we will be talking about it here. And then on Wednesday, we have good old, actually, Splash Damage. No, that's the week after. On Wednesday, we have 7th Brevin, where our good man Devin is going to be talking and playing Atomic Heart. And I know he's fucking
and playing.
Yeah, you're gonna be talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Our man Devin's been waiting for this shit for a long time, y'all. So y'all better both fucking slide in because our boy has not been this excited for a video game in a real long time.
It's true, honestly. If you think about it, it's very true.
Goddamn, dude. I'm excited to see how stoked you're going to be for that. But then on Thursday, we have another Shipwreck Show live recording. If you are a Twitch subscriber and are on our Discord, you guys have access to the Shipwreck Submissions channel where you guys can write in your questions and topics that you want us to potentially cover on that show. If you're wanting to be a part of the content, please write in over there. On Friday, we have Splash Damage where we're going to be finally playing Wild Hearts. So that actually came out yesterday, but we're giving ourselves a week to kind of get our groundings in the game because the tutorial is like an hour and a half to 2 hours long, and then like actually getting used to the game, we have some like time to kind of get our reins in before we present the wonderful game to you guys. But all that content's going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. But then on next Saturday, you have another Good Kraken podcast at 12 p.m. Pacific time, where we're going to be talking the best movie sequels ever. And that's going to be a fun conversation because there's some pretty good sequels out there, but they are few and far between. So I'm going to be really excited to talk about this with you guys. But in the meantime, y'all, please let us know your thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Let us know in the comments below. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know in our Discord because we love hearing from you guys. Let us know if you loved MODOK. Look at me. I'm a dick.
Just don't be a dick.
It's too late. It's too late.
It's never too late to not be a dick.
Never too late to not be a dick. It's also never too late to check us out because this has been the Good Kraken podcast, your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you wanted to hear. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show. If you enjoy the show, you can head on over to our Discord channel where you can submit questions and topics of the show. You can get exclusive content, and you soon can have early access to episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the digital sea. Yeah. You can also support us by going to our YouTube channel by clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there. We got to get rolling on out of here, everybody. But until next time, my friends, look at me. I'm such a dick.